So coming up today, or coming up on today's Streaming Idiots, let me put it this way. We're going to be talking about, actually not talking about, showing this little guy in action. This little teeny, weeny, small, minuscule graphics card, 4 outputs, 2 HDMI, 2 DisplayPort, and a 8-pin power port, 3 teeny weeny cute little fans, and yeah, we're going to use it to power, or use it to do the graphics part power of our 2 UKs build that we started last week. So stick around for that, and we got the right power supply and other goodies that we're going to be putting in today. So it's going to be good, and it's going to be fun, and we'll see you in just a few minutes about that. Pow. Okay, let's see. Audio, check. Video, check. Facelift, not going to happen. Let's see. It is a cool little GPU. Welcome, Gunnar. Glad you're here. Welcome, Ed. Glad you're here. And the first question from Ed is, can a PowerPoint be controlled and run in the Telestrator? I don't know. I don't know that I've got PowerPoint on this PC. I don't even know that I've got any PowerPoints saved anywhere. Let's see, maybe on Dropbox. I've got some. Let's just see. Not there. When was the last time I did a PowerPoint? Holy cow. Not there. Nope, not there. Maybe in graphics. There's PowerPoint. Good deal. Can we open it? Oh, we don't have PowerPoint on this system. So to answer your question, Ed, to the best of my ability, is that if you have PowerPoint from Microsoft, the software residing on your system, and you bring a PowerPoint and then inside vMix, if you add an input that's a PowerPoint presentation, it becomes now part of your vMix presentation, and whatever shortcuts are available to that PowerPoint presentation inside vMix are available to the shortcut buttons on the telestrator. And any shortcuts are, of course, are available on the telestrator. I think you have, 5 different buttons? Let's see. I know there are more than 5. Open telestrator and web controller, that's what I wanted to do. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 different buttons. So there we go. Yep. And we can overlay it like that. Yes, we can. Can we make it erase? Trash can it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So we can go there we go. That is Telestrator for what it's worth. So yeah, you could do any button I think you wanted. Good afternoon, sir. Good to see you. Glad to have you. Hope you're not getting any of that storm. Not sure how close it is to your way. Let me see. Yeah, let's see. Weather. Let's see the radar. Heat advisory. Oh no, you know where that storm's long gone. Oh wow, look there, that's where the storm is. Can we do a screen capture? Desktop capture. Yeah, there we go. Let's capture that. We're going to capture the monitor 1. Is that right? Nope. Monitor 2. There we go. So this is, John is down here. The storm is up there. And let's zoom in a little bit on it. And it's heading off this way. I am heading there Sunday. So hopefully I can fly over or around the storm. Yep. So there's that. It has left the Virgin Islands. I am so glad to hear that, John. I mean, here, if we've got a problem, we can get in our car and go somewhere else. We might have traffic, but we can. You guys are kind of stuck. you just sort of batten down the hatches and hang on. I think my dad's family was from the Bahamas. He was born in Nassau, and his older sister was born in a hurricane, in the house. That's, everybody was born at home back then. And so she was born in a hurricane. She was my aunt. And she was a pistol. Yep. Anyway, more than you needed to know about me in this situation. But that's all right. That is okay. No, I'm kind of excited about today. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't noticed the scroller right below, vMix has released a new version of vMix 28. It is called .34. Is that it? .43. Yeah, there we go. .43 with a couple of minor changes in it. My system says here it needs to update. In fact, I noticed that a couple days ago. I was like, oh, wonder why. So I went and looked and saw the update. So it wasn't really something that affected me, so I didn't do it. But I will say, if you're on vMix 27 or 26 or 25 or 24 or 23, going on back, if you'll spend $60 with vMix and update to 28, you'll get a lot of cool new features. Plus, I think you'll get some improvements in how it operates. I think Martin is always polishing vMix to make it run faster, smoother, more reliably. It amazes me. I built an i3 system several years ago, one of the slowest chips I could find, just to see how bad a system could be, and vMix would run on it, and of course it did. So I don't build slow systems anymore, just for fun. Not even for fun anymore. I mean, the system we're finishing off today that we probably ought to start the show about is going to be fun. So let's start the show. Where's the button for the show? It's right here. 3, 2, 1, here we go. Yes, indeedy. Here we are. Here we are. So happy to see you and be seen by you. All right, so today we got vMix 28 running on this PC. This is an i9, what is it, a 10900K or 10900X. It's on the LGA 1700 footprint of the Asus Z590 motherboard. Yep. And the, oh golly, what is the GPU? GPU is a hoss. It is a hoss. It is a 4070 Ti Super. So it's, I got it on sale, and I was like, okay, let's go for it. And yeah, and it's got 4 monitor ports, 2 display ports, and 2 HDMI ports. I think it's, well, no, it's, I checked that. It is 3 display port and 1 HDMI. I've got one converted over. I've also got a Blackmagic Decklink Duo 2 card in there because I was playing with some stuff yesterday. And it's actually cooled by air. I have this air cooler, Thermalright. Again, something I got on sale because I wanted to try and test, and it was so huge it didn't fit in any of the stuff I was building. So I said, well, let's use it on this system and see. One day I'll walk you through the system. But today we're going over to the other part of the studio to look and see what there is over there. So let's do this, PTZ. We're going to zoom out. And yeah, and this is where I'm going. So let me walk over there. And I probably need to take my keyboard and mouse with me so that I can communicate and direct traffic. There we go. And as you can see, very casual today. Not anything fancy. Pretty much a standard day for me. Let's get that out of the way there. We'll take that there. We'll get a mouse pad here. Lovely vMix mouse pad. Love vMix mouse pads. All right, so let's take a second and what shot are we in? We're in this shot right here. So let's zoom back in. And this is the 2U rack mount case that we've been working on. It has a detachable front cover. Let me see if I can find it in this box, which is really cool. I really like it. Whoops. And that pops on the front. And I got a little place here to put your logo or my logo. And then USB and power. So it fits right on there. And then we'll put 4 fans in the front here so that it's got some breathing room. We'll set that aside. But today, we're going to do what we couldn't do last week. Last week, we wanted to put in a power supply, but the power supply that I had on hand that I thought was the right power supply was not the right power supply. It was a power supply for a 1U rack mount case. This one is what's called a FLEX ATX power supply. I haven't even opened it up yet. Don't call this an open by. There we go. There it is right there. So that's pretty cool. Pretty small. It's a 600 watt. It is, what do you call that? Modular. So we can plug in whatever we need to plug in. We don't have to. We don't have to plug in everything. And then this part, of course, fits right back up in here and just screws right in. And then, in fact, if we find some screws, we can put it in. And then we've got our, oh, look at this rubber band. Generally, it's a zip tie. A rubber band will work. All right, so what do we have here? We've got SATA. That is a little 4-pin. And we've got another little 4-pin. I guess that's going to be, oh no. Well, it says it right here. Let's see what it says. Well, it doesn't say it right here. We'll have to look on it and see what this goes to. That looks like CPU. That would be my guess if I had to guess. And then that is a 6-pin here, which probably is, well, it looks like CPU again, but it could be GPU. Yeah, that's the GPU because it's already attached to itself. There we go. All right, so there's GPU, CPU, and motherboard power. All right, well, let's get this guy screwed in so that we can get him hooked up. Did he come with any screws? No screws. That's okay. Don't need screws. I'm sure we can find screws around here somewhere. Oh, here's a little tin basket. These little baskets right here are really great. That looks like it would hold, because they're magnetic. And they make everything stick. So let's see if we can make this stick. I just want a couple in there just to make it solid. Well, come on. There we go. Turn that one around the other way. So the idea is that this little guy, this little 2U guy, can fit lots of places where a 4U case wouldn't, or even where a desktop wouldn't. So a couple of screws there, and there. And we are solid enough to move forward. Good. We'll get that out of the way. Now let's see what we can hook up. So we've got this guy, which has got to be CPU power. So we're going to hook him there and here. And click is what we're listening for. And then this is going to be the motherboard power. Click and another click there. There we go, bending cables so that they fit where we want. Bending them to our will. And then we've got the PCIe bus. We'll click that in. We'll probably ought to put the SATA cable in here just in case we ever need it. Let's put that back together and get that ready for our GPU. Now this guy, as you can see, is a 5060 GeForce RTX 5060. Nothing fancy about it. It's the 8 gig version, but it's going to have more than enough GPU horsepower for this guy. So let's pull him out. It wasn't really the one I was showing you earlier. That was one that we tried to work with last week, but it needs to go RMA back to the manufacturer and be fixed. I pulled it out of my used box, but that might also have been my RMA box, truth be told. All right, we'll get that sticker off. And cutie. So let's take that little guard off. We can take these guards out. And again, 4 ports, 1 HDMI and 3 DisplayPort. That's okay. And then 8-pin power back here. So let's go ahead and line. Oh, and it's got the full size. Let's go here for just a second. It's got the full size back plate. So let's get the miniature back plate out the box. There it is. Okay. Miniature back plate right there. So let's take a second and take 5 screws out of that one. And we'll get our screwdriver set up right. I think that's going to work with those little teeny screws right there. Yep, there we go. So 1, we don't want to lose the screws. 2, while I was setting this up, or parts of it up earlier today, I went ahead and put a blank, unused, 250 gigabyte M.2 NVMe into the main section of this motherboard right here, and a extra one right here, which is my master. And if we have time towards the end of the show, we'll clone them over, but I want to get this guy to boot first. We'll get him to boot off of the good, excuse me, not the good, but the master, and then we'll later go on and clone the master. Okay, so we've got 4 screws out and the back plate comes off. Then we're going to put the miniature back plate on, and it's going to go into the same locations. If we get lucky, we can pick up a screw with a magnet. Yes, indeed. Because otherwise you need 4 hands to do this. And let's get one of those going. That didn't feel like it. Oh, yeah, it didn't like that. Do we have a screw that's a different size than the others? We do. Okay, this is a little teeny screw. The other 3 are larger. And this little teeny one, I think, goes here in this 4th screw location right here next to the HDMI port. Let's try and see if we get success there. Yeah, there we go. Wants to go right in there. And we'll go ahead and snug it up, but not too snug, because we're not sure of the alignment on these. But let's get these aligned. Sorry, I should have opened this before and done all this. Didn't even think about it. Didn't even think about it. Just assumed it would come out the right way. But yeah, it wanted to be full size. And I've actually built some systems with this kind of miniature card in a full size system because it had the horsepower that we needed, and so why not? Probably got it on sale so that we could pass the savings on. There we go. All right, now this guy's ready to go. While we've got him out though, let's go ahead and hook him up to power. And we will just, is that gonna, nope, nope. Hang on. These guys actually slide together. There we go. Oh, that's nice. That's good. That's good. All right. So there's our clip. There's our power. It's going to go like this. And click. So there we go. So that's great. So let's go ahead and slide this in its slot. There we go. Good deal. And we want to make sure that cable is not going to get caught in that fan. Let's just get a lot of room. We'll do cable management later. We've got our Blackmagic card in there from last week. So we've got power, we've got CPU, we've got GPU, we've got CPU cooler, we've got a capture card, and we've got a, what do you call that? Oh, let's do this. Yeah, let's do, this is the on switch and the power LED. So that's going to go into these two little guys, right, or these four little guys right there. Yep. And this is USB 3. And let's go and see if we can make a gentle curve of some kind here to keep those out of the way. Yeah, that'll work. And this guy is going to go right here into USB 3. So that'll be the USB ports here on the front. And let's go ahead and plug in some of our thumb drives and also the wireless keyboard for the mouse and keyboard over here. We'll do a fan later, so let's just set that out of the side, out of the way for now. And what we want to be able to see is, let's get a HDMI cable. Yep, got that coming in right here. So we'll plug that in back here. So we've got keyboard and mouse. We've got video. Well, we need power. Yeah, that would help. Let's see if we've got power here. I believe we've got power here. Let me throw it under the table, and I can pick it up on the other side. And, oh, I know what we need to do. That's interesting. This power supply doesn't have an off-on on it. Interesting, interesting. All right, let me get one more thing over here so I can change the monitor, the big TV in front of me that's right out of the picture right up here, and change that over to a monitor. Right now it's showing me the vMix desktop. But let's go to source, and we'll go to HDMI 2. There we go. And let's see if we can just do the power on and see what happens. Fan spinning. Fan spinning here on the power supply. 3 cute little fans are spinning on the GPU. So we'll see if we boot or if we go to, are we gonna, that looks like we could go to BIOS. Nope, we're going to boot to Windows. That's great. That's great. All right, while that's booting, I'm going to get a SDI cable from this camera right here, and let's plug it into our Blackmagic mini recorder, which has HDMI and SDI input. So that's there. And is there a way you can see this monitor? Well, if I pointed the camera at it, you could. Let's see. So we're going to go, 1 second here. So we're going to go to Blackmagic Media Express. We'll do that. Yeah. And that shows us what that camera sees. Great. So how can I show you this desktop? Oh, because this PC is now, no, it's not yet on the network. Let me plug Ethernet into it. We'll get it on the network, and then we can see what the PC sees. Boy, that was quick and easy, wasn't it? Yeah. Feel like Miss Rachel. Okay, do we have internet? We do. All right. So let's switch back over to the vMix desktop right here. And we'll add an input. That's an NDI input. No, I don't know we can do that yet, can we? Well, let's try this. Let's go back here. Bear with me for a second. I'm just trying to show you guys what I'm seeing on this guy. All right, so we go to a different mouse. Let's go to NDI Tools and Studio Monitor. Will that give us what we want? How can you see this machine? Don't have NDI Tools on here. Well, that's sucky. But we do have vMix. What do you call that thing? Desktop capture. There we go. All right. We're making progress here. So source, vMix desktop. And we are going to, do I have a desktop capture? So you can see what I'm doing while I'm doing it. Local desktop, display one. Is that the one we want? Yes. Okay, so that's my vMix production right there. Sorry, right there. There we go. We're going to add an input, bottom left corner. We're going to add a desktop capture. And let's see, this is Bird Dog. That's broadcast. Ah, there it is right there. That's the other PC. So we've got display one, media express, and desktop capture. Let's take display one because that shows us the whole desktop. There it is right there. And we'll come down to it right here. And that is the desktop that we have created. And we've got desktop capture. Let's see if we can minimize that. And this is just the Blackmagic disk utility called Media Express that allows you to see whatever the camera sees. And we've just got one camera attached, I think. devices right there. Yeah, there's just the one camera attached. But we can move this camera through our other, what do you call that? Our other software. There we go. So there we are right there with the new PC we've built, and you are seeing the desktop of the new PC. How about that for being cool? What we really need to do is show you this monitor right here from that camera right there. That's probably be the easiest camera to do. So let's see if we can do that. That's the camera right there. We're going to go to the PTZ controls, and can we go to the right? PTZ 4K. All right, that is the right camera. Oh no, we can't go. We have to go to the left, all the way around the other way. Room right there. Okay. Okay. And let's just take off the color key for just a second. So that is the screen, and vMix is being displayed on it right now, but we're going to change the source back to the PC. Okay, and that's what the PC sees through its camera right there. All right, now you guys will continue to see whatever's on the screen, but what I want to do is I want to clone. We're going to whoops, sorry, one more time. We're going to shift from building, because the building happened so quickly, and we're going to see if we can clone this guy really quickly. So there's a problem with this device. Nah, we're not worried about that. All right, so let's go here, and we're going to close that, and we are going to reboot and go into the BIOS. So we're going to restart, and then if I'm lucky and get the timing right, I can get this to restart into BIOS, and then when I'm in the BIOS, I can get it to boot from the thumb drive, and when it boots from the thumb drive, it will show you CloneZilla, and we can clone this drive. And that takes a few minutes, so we may not hang around and watch it the whole time, but we may take a minute, and yeah, that should take us to BIOS. There we go, good. Let's do a couple things while we're here. Let's go ahead and enable XMP. There we go. And then we'll go F8, and we're going to boot from the drive, excuse me, the USB. You can hear the mower guy in the back. There we go. All right, now we're going to start in the top left corner where it says CloneZilla Live VGA 80 by 60. Excuse me, 800 by 600. We'll accept that with a press of the Enter key. And then we will wait for this little guy to go do his thing. Basically, this is just command-driven program with some pseudo, figurative menus that pop up that really aren't menus, but they appear to be. And we're going to take English as our preferred language and the default keyboard. And we're going to start CloneZilla. And we're going to go with device to device. And we're going to go to the beginner mode. And we're going to go disk to local disk. And we're going to take the second drive, because that's the one with the OS on it. Well, I hope I'm doing this right. We'll go to the first drive, and we'll skip disk checking, and we'll use the partition table, and we'll clone load, and we'll reboot. Press enter to continue. Press yes, Y to continue. Press Y again to continue. And there we go. So we'll let it do its thing there. And it will just click buzz and whir. And while it click buzzes and whirs, I'm going to walk back over to the production desk. And we'll see if we can find an image that we can work with. Let's see. Probably this camera right here. Bear with me just 1 second. Bear with me just 1 second. Meanwhile, you get to watch that guy do his thing. And yeah, and so we'll go here, and this is the camera that's right above the workstation. So basically, I've just pointed it back towards my desk here, and we're waiting for this guy to finish up his thing. And basically, it's just making a carbon copy. Anybody remember carbon copy? Actually, it's not making a carbon copy. It is making an exact copy of everything that's on the drive, including the operating system, all the software. The Windows that's on there is not activated, so it's not trying to copy an activated version, nor is the vMix that's on there activated. So when I use this to clone stuff for PCs I'm building, I have to go in and put in the Windows license key and the vMix license key to activate those. The spec of the new PC, Otis, hey, glad to see you, is that it is a Core Ultra 7 265K, which is basically an i7. Are we getting close to being done there? Something's happening. With 16 gigs of RAM and a 250 gig hard drive, we'll put a terabyte drive in there also for backup and/or for recordings or replay. I'm thinking this is probably going to be a good church system or maybe a small studio system. So 4 HD cameras. Yeah. All right, so let's see where we are over here. It looks like we may be at a stopping point. It says press enter to continue. Okay, well, let's go over there and press enter and continue and see what we have. So I'm going to walk over here and get the keyboard so I can press enter and enter. And now we are going to, I think we're going to power off, and that's going to allow me to take this drive off so that I can reboot the system on the new drive. So yeah. Oops, wrong mouse. There we go. So let's come back over here. Yeah. And I am going to shut this system down, and then we'll take the drive out. So let me, I have to jockey between monitors, but that's okay. I am a trained professional. Actually, the system is off. I don't have to jockey between monitors. I'm smarter than I thought. So let's just come in here. We're going to take the power cable out since we don't have a way to turn the power off. And we're going to take the graphics card out for just a second so that we can get to the drive. Don't go anywhere. And we'll take this little drive out. And we'll put it back in its cover because that is our clone drive, our from drive, not our to drive. And we'll put the graphics card back in. Oops, goes in right there. And again, we don't have any power plugged in here, so we're not worried about anything being powered. But now that it's all back together, we can power it up. Click. We'll take the CloneZilla drive out. And we've still got the keyboard remote plugged in. I tell you what, let's take this little screw right here and put it back in that hole so that we have it when we go to put the terabyte drive in. Sometimes thinking ahead just a step or two can really save a lot of heartache, trouble. All right, HDMI is plugged in, and let's give this guy a whirl and see if he'll start up again. And we're going to switch over the monitor so we can monitor that. Source is going to be HDMI 2. Oh, wait, let's go back. And let's switch over so that you can see what is on the monitor. So we're going to go to a different source, which is going to be the PC's output. And remind me in 3 days? Sure. You can remind me in 100 days if you want. There we go. There we go. So let's get our camera back up again. We'll go Media Express. And off it goes into infinity. But there's our camera. And let's get our vMix desktop capture back again. vMix desktop capture. Okay, there we go. So now this PC is viewable as a source or an input in vMix. So we're going to switch back to that for a second. And let's see if our desktop capture is still there. Yeah, there it is right there. Right there. So that is our screen. And there is the mouse. So I'm sort of using that as my monitor. Put it in preview too. Oops, can't do it like that. Put it in preview so it's easier to see. There we go. So yeah, so gee whiz. Let's see if we can't make that a little clearer. Mirror, nope, don't want to mirror it, just want to sharpen it. There we go, just sharpen just a tad. That's it. So now when we go to operate it, we've got everything we need. So there it is, it's ready to go. Let's see how we're doing on Device Manager. Do we have anything out of the ordinary? I know you can't really see what the categories are, but what we're looking for is a something that would stick out on this list to say, hey, we don't have a driver for that device, but it looks like we're good. Correct drivers for the correct motherboard, all set to go. It is it's a horse. You probably can't read the system information. I can't read it, so you probably can't read it. But there are all the specs on the PC. But it's a hot rod, you know. What can I say? It's a hot rod. Yeah. So we're glad for it. And there it is right there. You know, it's not much, but everything that's there is powerful. Let me zoom in a little bit more. We'll go up just a tad. So what we had to do between this week and last week was get the right power supply, which is something called a FLEX ATX. And 600 watt was about the biggest one I could find. This one happened to be modular, which is really cool. So you plug in only the wires, only the power cables that you need. We also installed a brand new, in this case, a gigabyte GeForce RTX 5060, and connected it to power. And then we've got a Blackmagic DeckLink mini recorder, which has HDMI and SDI capture. So right now it's capturing SDI, which is the camera that we saw just a second ago. Well, this is the camera right here. This is what it's capturing, that camera right there. Because when we go to the screen, its screen, let's go back to that. That's what it's seeing. And so that's what everybody else sees. So that's what you're seeing, right? Oh, no, you're not. You're seeing this desktop now. Whatever. So there we go. So that's it. That's it. It's a cool little guy. It's a cool little guy. What do you think? What do you think? I think it's neat. I think for the space that it saves in a rack, it's going to really be a good solution. And for the people that want something small, you say, okay, well, Tom, what about Tom? What about hold it? Let me get me back. Here I am. There we are. There we go. What about can you just capture more than one camera? Because right now we've got a mini recorder in, which is an HDMI or an SDI, not both. And yes, Blackmagic actually makes a low profile 4-port SDI card. So there you go. And if you're stuck with HDMI cameras, then you have to use converters to convert HDMI to SDI. That's not a huge issue. It can be done. Approximate cost for the kit. If you've got a vMix license already, this is going to be about, sheesh, I hate to quote off the top of my head because I'd have to go back and rerun the numbers. You know, a couple thousand. It's not as economical as if you went to Best Buy and bought one, that's for sure, or bought one from an online retailer that's going to sell you a gaming PC. But again, this is purpose-built for a very specific, narrow set of requirements. So it requires a specialized power supply, specialized video card, specialized capture card, low-profile CPU fan, and what else? Oh, and then a ton of fans. A ton of fans in the front to keep everything inside cool. So yeah, I'll be putting this on the website as an official offering here shortly. Not today, but soon. Our website's down. We had some trouble with it, so we took it down, and now we're rebuilding it. You know how that goes. So yeah. Hey Rick, glad you're here. Glad you're here. That's right. Time to hustle up a job and build 10 of them. Yep. Let's see. Let's conclude the show and go into the post show. What do you say? Can we do that? I always like to do that. Be right back. Thanks. All right, there we go. Yeah, I like it, Ed. I like it. It's everything you need and nothing you don't kind of thing, with lots of space inside the case for airflow. And that's, I can't stress how important that is. You know, we want to be able to have air to have a chance to move. We've got the vents at the back of the case. You can see right above that kind of white thing in the middle that says ASUS on it. There's a bunch of ventilation there. And then each one of the back plates for the motherboard will be ventilated. And then of course you've got the place for 4 fans in the front. The sides are not ventilated because in a case like that, you assume it's going to be in a rack, so it's not going to have the ability to vent anything onto the sides. But yeah. Spec on the new PC, I think we covered that, Otis. Essentially an i7 with what are those things going, like 5 gig i7, 16 gigs of RAM. This one with a 250 gig solid state drive, and we'll have a terabyte solid state drive for backup, 600 watt power supply, and then 4 fans across the front is the thing. Yep. Screens have been shared. Tomorrow is build a clone USB drive day. Yes, I get it. That's the way to do it. Oh, thank you, Ed. I appreciate that a bunch. This is a fun build. Sorry we didn't get to finish it last week, but I think we're working on it this week. I mean, I think we're finished this week, other than, you know, polishing it up and putting the fans in, putting a couple little things to make it ready to ship. One thing I looked for and I couldn't find, you notice the spinny fan in the middle. That's a low profile CPU cooler. You've got to have low profile because you can't stick that cooler right up to the top of the case, because then it's going to blow air on the top of the case. So it's got to be able to suck air in and draw it through. Or does it push down? Hang on a second. Let me go check. Is that a push down or a pull up? Is it pushing air down? Yes, it's pushing air down on the radiator that's underneath it, that's attached to the CPU. So it's got to have some room to draw air from the top in order to get the air down to the CPU. So we're going to draw air, 4 fans pushing air in through the front, the CPU fan forcing air down on the radiator around the CPU. The power supply will suck air from inside the case and send it out through a teeny little fan on the back to keep its stuff cool. The graphics card has 3 fans on the side of it that's going to draw in air from inside the case and push that air outside the case. So we should have a good balance of inputs and outputs so far as air is concerned. So that's the thing. Yeah, like that's possible. Too many balls in the air at the same time. But this is a fun build. To look forward to. In fact, the FLEX ATX power supply would work in a 1U case. Hmm. 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 We could build an NDI only machine in a 1U case. I might have to play with that a little bit. Do I have a 1U case? I think I've got one in the warehouse. We'll have to check. Anyway, I know I have a 3U case. Why would you want a 3U case? Just well, yeah, one of the reasons why it's so clean, Ed, and it's not clean right now because there are too many wires going everywhere. But once we do some wire management on that, it cleans up a whole lot. And those wires around like that really do kind of break up the airflow and cut it down and make it more choppy and what I would call less smooth. And I want smooth air in there. So I don't want the fans in the front to run into all those cables right there and have that air kind of get all choppy and what do they call it when an airplane flies through the air path of another plane? What do they call that effect? Anyway, somebody will come up with it. And I don't want that to play into the air movement in this case. I want the air to move smoothly from the front to the back. That's the idea. Yep. Front to the back. The flex is actually mushed. So an ATX, full ATX power supply will be probably 4 times the height of that flex. The flex would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So a 4U case would be an ATX. I've got a couple of those. Yeah, a couple of them behind me. For watts, so far as the cost of the case, 600 watts cost about $200. So with a full-size ATX power supply, I can get 1,200 watts for the same price. So it's about double price-wise. So 600 watts for $200 versus 1,200 watts for $200. All right, Greg says, can't do 8 SDI in 1U. I did. Yeah, you didn't have a graphics card in there though, did you? Did you? You didn't. You didn't. You used the graphics off the motherboard. Or you used a, what do they call those little, it's a card that plugs into an M.2 port and becomes a capture card. Maybe you did that. I've got one of those around here. i9 9900K. Okay, that's what this one is that I'm producing on right now. A Quadro GPU, so you did do a separate graphics card, and a Quad 2 capture, all in the chassis. Interesting. Interesting. So which card did you use a riser on? The Quadro or the Quad 2? Well, actually, probably both of them. But you had to do, oh, somebody's at the front door. You had to do a series of cables, probably. You probably did the, okay, here we go. The GPU and the deck link shared a 2-slot riser. Okay, there you are. Good job. Do you have any heat issues? It only worked for ice hockey and curling, right? Couldn't do it with what was it? High Lie down in Miami, because it would be too hot. Yeah, you'd have to be in an air-conditioned environment for something like that, or be pumping refrigerated air through it. Yep. No heat issues, 9 fans inside. Are you still using it? Or have you retired it? Or is it something you only use for special occasions? I would be curious to know what the temperatures on that 9900K were when you were in the middle of production. You can cook a CPU if you're not careful. Let's see, let's go back here so that you guys can see. And 3 of 6 are still in use. That's a 50% record. If that was in the major leagues, you'd be batting 500, you'd be in the Hall of Fame, dude. In the PC world, you better have 99 out of 100 still in use after 5 years. That's what we go for. I mean, our systems are warranted for 3 years, bumper to bumper. Doesn't matter what went wrong. Even if you killed it, we'll fix it. But I think the bona fide, you're going to be happy with it, shelf life is going to be 5 years, because the technology will have changed so rapidly in 5 years' time that you're going to want the extra horsepower. Other 3 now only do SDI, not NDI. And they're running vMix. Otis says, how are you displacing the heat? Well, Otis, thanks for asking. You'll notice at the bottom of the screen, some cutouts. That's the front of the case. And that's where you can put a series of 4 80mm fans. And these would be blowing in. And then at the back of the case, well, the graphics card, any air that it sucks in the top of it, or in the side of it, gets discharged out the back. Same thing for the power supply, gets discharged out the back. And then the CPU in the middle, of course, is blowing air, cool air from the front of the case over the radiator that's mounted on top of the CPU. And so that dissipates into the case and then exits, because the case is going to be what I would consider a positive pressure with all with the 4 fans in the front. So air is going to be exiting the case wherever it is, because it's going to be under positive pressure. Negative pressure would be that it would be sucking air in from outside from wherever, which is okay too, and sometimes we might tend to do things that way. But I want to take control over the cold air, or the outside air, let me put it that way, and I want to force it in rather than having it get sort of sucked in, because there's low pressure inside the case. I just finished building a couple of 4U systems, one of which is behind me, that has that's water cooled, has a big radiator across the front with three fans on it that are pushing cool air into the case, but through that radiator as they do it, so that the air that gets in there is not as cold as it was before, and then everything exits out the back. Yep. Not like Greg that did 9 fans. 9 fans. So that was 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom, and 3 on the front. Just teasing. Probably a bunch of fans on the front. Bunch of fans on the front. Yep. Good. Well, I think we are arriving at the end of our show, our post show. But I appreciate your attention. I do. And it's always fun to hang out with you guys. Definitely is. And as Ed always says, like, subscribe if you get a chance. Thank you. Yeah. And I have noticed that our videos are getting some more views, and that's probably because you're liking. If you haven't already subscribed, then you're subscribing. And YouTube kind of helps push us up in the algorithm when they say, hey, the people that are watching it like it, and they're watching a long time. I mean, we're long form. You know, these shows are probably, including the pre-show, which is 10 or 15 minutes of just a still screen. All of that is probably an hour and a half, maybe. So we're considered long form, I'm sure. Yeah, that's right. 9 fans sounds like a hurricane. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys. And we won't be here next week. In fact, we'll be gone for 2 weeks because I'm traveling to Portugal with my bride to meet my brother and his bride. And we're going to tour the countryside, try to stay out of the wildfire areas, and have some good food and some great company, and a great chance to see a wonderful country. So I'll make sure that things get posted so that you remember. So I'll see you. When will I see you again? I will see you again on the 10th of September, September 10th. And then remember, on September 24th, Rich Ignacio is going to be here and talk about how he's been using AI to produce intro videos for his jet ski racing. So yeah, so there we go. So I appreciate you. Catch you on the flip.